You know what's cool for me yesterday is, I have never seen EJ bowl in person before yesterday. So that was, seeing that kind of stuff. You watch him on television, you see what you think that he does to the bowling ball, and then you get a chance to watch the ball go down the lane right off his hand, and it's such a different perspective than you see on television. He's a smaller guy than he looks like on television. Just in person here to watch that go on down there. And then last week, watching the ITCs and all these college kids that were on all the teams and stuff. And obviously, you don't get to see those folks very often unless you watch something like this. So it was just fun to watch the up and coming guys that might not have been famous over the last 4 or 5 years or whatever be here and bowl right in front of us. See the talent that it took to make this round of 32.
So again, you're watching the first game of the 4-game semifinals. We have one camera set up. It is on 11 and 12. You're watching AJ Rice, Marshall Kent, Adam Barta, and Tommy Barish in this first game. They will be moving. Again, we're on the other side of the building, so for those of you that are wanting to know what bowling balls are being used, if you can't tell, we can't tell because we see exactly what you're seeing. So
this is kind of like a truck.
It is, basically.
So we're calling it from the truck. Who's the production manager, dude?
That's got to be Matt Turek. He's got to be the production manager.
Either that or
Either that or Brian Burkhart could be the production manager.
I could be the production
coordinator.
He's the producer.
The producer. I like that better.
Okay, producer. So we're looking at 11 and 12. There are 8 pairs going on the other side with dark pairs in between each two. That will increase the pace this morning because people won't wait for both sides. Basically, you just have to wait for one pair of lanes if you're going to go up and give the courtesy that most of these people will give. They're going to bowl 4 games over there, and once that's finished, we'll cut to the top 12 and bring them over here on this side, so we will be able to see things in front of us after that. For those of you having a little bit of trouble with the stream, check your quality setting below and see if you can go down a step in quality. Typically, that will take care of the jumpiness for whatever is going on right now with the internet connection. We do have a machine set up here that is looking at what is coming out or coming from the internet, and so we can kind of see what is going on as well. That young man right there was fun to watch this week, Marshall Kent. Wow.
Yeah, I got to watch Marshall quite a bit this year. Got to know him pretty well. Good kid, smart kid. Goes to school at Robert Morris up in Chicago. Not sure what his plans are for next year as of right now. I've heard that he's going to forego his last year and start bowling more PBA events, possibly even joining. I'm not sure on that, so don't quote me, but that's what I'm hearing. Very, very solid team. They're losing some of their top players to graduation. So not sure what Marshall's plans are, but he's one of the top talents that I've seen in a long, long time. Not much that he can't do with the bowling ball, and it's very, very nice to see somebody with his demeanor, his personality, his work ethic. Good kid. Really like what he can do with the bowling ball. It's almost limitless, for some of these guys what they can do.
Adam Barta left 10 pins on his last couple of shots. picked him up, but so to the left, just saw Kurt Pilon throw a nice shot. Talking to Brad Miller a little bit before we started today, dude. He snuck in last night, even though he bowled last night. The score that he had posted was higher than what he ended up shooting on the last squad. Finds himself in 31st place, looking up at 12th right now, and it's about 81 pins or so. And he was already looking at what he was going to have to do today to be able to make it into the top 12, and still then it would just be 12th. It wouldn't be 5th like he needs to be to make the TV show like he did last year. So
well, you can't make the top 5 unless you make the top 12.
That's
so
absolutely true.
That's you got to take it one step at a time, and you really have to look at it that way. You can't already be thinking top 5. You got to think top 12 first. Even though 81 pins, even 83 going all the way down to Chris, it's not impossible by any means. Anything can happen in the top 12 with people falling out, but just as important, you catch one or two good games, and that puts you right in the mix. And that's all you can ask out of yourself, is to have a chance to make it. All these bowlers bowling right now have already cashed. The worst anybody has done so far is $570 for 32nd place. So right now you're kind of bowling on house money, so to speak. So you've already basically got your money back from bowling in the event, even if you bowled twice. So right now you're just kind of fighting for more money. And then if you can get close to the top 12, now you're starting to get up to where the real money will be. So
that's a good point. Brad was talking about his want to basically do better on the fresh. He said that on the fresh in the last couple of squads he was able to shoot 220, but he didn't think he'd be able to make up pins by shooting 220s to start out with today. But then, when we brought up the fact that they were actually bowling these 4 games on the south side of the building, that was almost a welcome message, because it seemed like this side over here hooked more in the heads for him, some more up-front friction, and I think he thought he might be able to throw a few more strikes over there on that side right now if he needs to.
Well, I think that we saw over all 3 squads on the fresh, the first few games, there were more big numbers thrown on that side of the building than over here. We did see some over here. I remember on Friday night we saw Matt McNeil, Rich Orff, Marshall Kent all be in the 270s, 280s. So it's definitely possible to have those big scores on either side of the building, depending on who you are and how you match up. But like I mentioned, I think some of the scores were friendlier on that side of the building. So if you are going to make a run at it and you matched up on that side of the building, okay, it's got to give you a little bit of added confidence.
In comparison to, I know everybody else has got the same shot that he's got over there, but just mentally, if he feels like he can throw bigger games, that's probably a plus.
Well, no matter what, it just boils down to how you can get your ball to go through the pins. And when you're in a bowling center, especially one that's two-sided, the characteristics of each side are going to be different. So one side for you may carry better than the other side. It may have nothing to do with the pattern or anything else, but it may have to do just simply with how your ball goes through the pins. And if you know that you're more comfortable on one side than the other, your swing loosens up, you get a little bit more confident, and it makes it easier to bowl. The pocket seems bigger. It just kind of makes it easier for you to relax and just go after it.
Right.
Especially when you're in the high 20s, low 30s, and you're chasing not only a top 12 number, but you're chasing guys like Bill O'Neill, Brian Valenta, Matt McNeil, John Zerbinski, Mike Dole, Kurt Pilon, all these guys in front of you, and you're chasing after them, not to mention the amount of talent that's between 13th and 25th. not only do you have to chase down that top 12 number, you've got to jump over, the likes of Marshall Kent, Adam Barta, Ronnie Spark, Sean Swanson, Craig Nidifer, Tom Doherty, Kyle Troop. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jason Stern, Tom Hess, Matt Gasson in there. So it seems like a tall task, but it can be done if you just get matched up right and you go.
How many lefties are there in the top 32 from Andy S? Marshall left himself a mess up there. Went through the nose and got 5. He's lucky he got the 5th pin.
I count at least 6 or 7 at least that I know of. There's a few names in the top 32 that I'm not sure who they are. Not familiar with a few of the guys, but there's at least 6 or 7. We do have 2 in the top 5, and I actually predicted last night that we would have 2 left-handers make the stepladder finals for tonight. Only because I think that actually I forgot to add AJ in that list too, so there's at least 7. I think that there's such a good mix of different styles that are playing this week that I think that if you can get 4 or 5 of the left-handers in the top 12, they will help each other, because the more left-handers in this case, the better. We were talking to Matt McNeil the other night, and he said Houston White, another lefty, so that's at least 8 of the top 32. So if they help blend the lane out for each other, then they may simply just run away with it. We had several people that offered their opinions thinking that a left-hander was going to run away with it. And it's not because the left side is so easy. We've got some pretty talented left-handers in this field, and they're able to do some things with this pattern very, very similar to what the right-handers are doing. It actually looks like it's playing pretty similar from side to side. So I'm definitely thinking we're going to have at least 2 in the top 5. No, Rick Miller did not bowl. If Rick Miller had been here and shoot up, I would have taken Rick Miller over the field before they even started. I think that highly of Mr. Miller.
That was quite the splasher right there that we just watched. How many two-handed lefties do we have? I know that
At least a couple.
I know of 2 for sure, but there could have been another.
Nice to see Sean Swanson up there. Sean's been battling health issues over the last few years. Looks like he's finally starting to get some good news and good results with his treatment. So it's awesome to see Sean out here competing and still competing at a very high level.
Who's the lefty with the yellow shirt in 9 and 10? Well, let's see if we can see him too. They said that Dole looks like a blueberry.
No comment.
I don't know why not.
We
We were talking about the fashion all day yesterday. I'm not sure why you're holding back this morning. David H says it looks like there's more hook today. The back ends are really fresh. Marshall's been playing that shape for the most of the week, though. I mean, it looks like he's hooking the ball quite a bit, but he's been playing that way.
And it looks like he's using the same ball that he used most of the night, Friday night, when he bowled his only qualifying squad. I talked to him for quite a while yesterday. He was sitting.
Well, he had nothing else to do besides talk to you because he wasn't bowling at all yesterday.
He was sitting watching Danielle bowl yesterday, and he used the same disturbed all night Friday night, and I'm going to assume that is the same one that he he used all night Friday night.
So I believe I saw Adam strike on the last shot, so he could be going for a double here. They were worried about Adam's carry. We can kind of see the scores down below. At least you can see if somebody's got a string going on. You can't really see the numbers. So we should be able to get your results of these things a little faster today than we have been in the last little while, because it's only 32 scores to enter and only 8 lanes worth of score sheets that they have to worry about. So looking at Tommy Barish now on the left lane. That looks like a hypercell. That didn't like the oil it saw.
I think he's been jumping back and forth between a couple different balls so far this morning. I think he's seeing that acceleration point in the mid lane that we've talked about all weekend with this custom designed 2014 IB Open oil pattern that Mike Flanagan created. It's 44 feet in length, 33 and a half mils of oil. The ratio is right around 2 to 1, but the kicker for this pattern is at 25 feet, it gets wider and flatter than the rest of the shape of the pattern. So what happens is if you try and go too left to right for the right-handers off your hand, and all of a sudden it hits that oil at 25 feet, then all of a sudden, you know, your ball's going to be having some fun with the 3-pin and not have a chance to make it back to the pocket.
What you folks aren't seeing, because they're all bowling on the south side of the bowling center, is the beginnings of the construction for tonight's stepladder finals. The set is being constructed over here, and much like you might see them do in a bowling center where ESPN came in and did this, they're dismantling things, taking out tables, taking out chairs, moving things around so that the set can be built, and it's looking already pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see how they do it. Actually, a good friend of mine, Vince, that lives down here in the St. Louis area, used to work, I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but used to work for the contractor that did the sets for the PBA for the ESPN telecast. So Vince is here setting up the backdrops. They're moving the bleachers around. They've removed, excuse me, they've removed everything from the settee area, and they're trying to get everything set up for tonight's stepladder finals beginning at 7 o'clock.
Hey guys, I'm gonna try to give you guys some updates from the other side.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you, Mike.
I got to find out where that spot is, where Jackie was. So,
That's obviously not it, Mike.
yeah, that was.
Bear with us while our roving sideline reporter for the morning, Mike Flanagan, is trying to find the spot in the building where we can hear his wireless mic.
I bet his shoes aren't as cute as Jackie's.
Absolutely
I
not.
think you're right. I'm in the spot, guys.
I don't
Okay.
think the rest of him is as cute as Jackie
Probably
either.
not, no.
Tom Doherty opened up with the first 7, went 7 spare. Matt Gasson opened up with the first 7 and then opened. Marshall Kent spare, 7 bagger. Scores are extremely high over here.
So right there, you just mentioned 3 guys that are outside the number bowling big games. So that bodes well for them trying to play catch-up to the 12th and final match play spot, which is currently occupied by Kurt Pelon at plus 310. So
AJ Rice going into the 9th frame only has 209 left if he goes sheet.
AJ sitting in 13th.
Mike,
And I apologize, Marshall Kent.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, you guys got that pair.
Yeah.
Yes,
I saw him go through the nose for 5 earlier, so it must be someone else that's got.
The spare 7-bagger is Kyle Troop. Marshall was hanging out on that pair.
Oh.
He went down there for a minute.
Kyle Troop, another one who is outside the number by 62 pins right now, sitting in 22nd place. So a big game by Kyle is going to put him close to the number strictly after the first game. So.
Right. Marshall's been quite the social butterfly all week this week. He was down on other pairs and talking to folks and stuff and not staying where he's supposed to be. So.
Well, that's not a bad thing. Walk around, kind of scout out what's going on other pairs. Yeah, maybe he's moving to that pair next. Wants to kind of get an idea where everybody's playing, where the friction zones are, so on and so forth. So it's a pretty good idea.
So it looks like we'll have Adam Barta coming up on the right lane. I'm looking to see if I can tell which one is. He must have spared in the last shot. This is another strike. I know he had a double in there somewhere.
Hey guys, Bill O'Neill, if he throws the last 4, he'll be in the 180s, 180s.
Wow.
So he's going to back up a little bit. We'll have to wait and see more reports from on that side, see what Mr. Valenta is doing, see if he has a chance to take the lead after this game.
Kevin Williams has the first 8. Brian Valenta can still shoot 235. He's up in the 9th frame. Ken McNeely struggling a little bit, 2-0 left. Matt McNeil's looking at about a 220 pace.
So right now, if you are in probably the top 4 spots, somewhere in that range, your mindset has to be don't give too much away, but you also can't relax too much, because then all of a sudden you bowl a couple of 2-0s, and if the scores remain high, then you could definitely get past. So it needs to be somewhat of a cautious aggressiveness.
So, Mike, based on what I'm seeing here and the people that we have on the pair in front of us, it looks like you put them on the lanes in the order that they were in the standings. It's a position round grouping type of thing.
That is correct.
Okay. That helps because, well, not just for the guys who are trying to make moves in the standings, but it also helps us. So thank you for that.
Well, it's nice to be able to just simply look around and know who is where, and especially when you start the day, to be able to know what pairs have what positions on them, so you can look to in most cases, look to your left and know those guys are ahead of me.
Sean Swanson's going to be up in the 10th frame. He's got a possible 228 left. Ronnie Sparks, 10th frame. Ronnie can shoot 215.
Thank you, Michael.
Nice shot by AJ just then. So you know some of the different clothing that we've seen this week. Yeah, it popped into my mind. Where would you go to buy that? You know,
The golf discount store,
I guess.
or Goodwill. Okay, that was wrong.
That it is wrong.
Yeah, I apologize, but that's just me. I'm just jealous that I can't pull off the pink shirt and purple pants.
Right.
I don't have that in my wheelhouse. I see Kenny McNeely running across the parking lot, so he either ripped his shorts or he needs another ball.
Gotcha.
There could be other explanations, but I'm going to go with one of those two.
One of those two.
Hey.
Yes, sir. Oh, Goodwill was funny, so David liked that one. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I was considering whether FarmersOnly.com had a place
shopping
where
network.
a
Yeah.
shopping network where you could actually buy clothing and stuff. So
Kyle's actually tame with his fashion this week. He's been wearing just basic shorts and T-shirt, but he definitely has the hashtag crank fro going on
Yes,
this
he does.
weekend, and it's big.
you know, last night was fun to watch that end that he did. right down here in front of us last night. That last game was, and he was, if I remember, he was plus 211 at the time, so he needed something at that to make it in, and 230.
All the bright pants are Nike golf pants, so. And actually, between that and what is it, the loudmouth, John Daly's apparel line that Joe Polysack wears all the time. Some definitely creative fashion ideas that you can find on those websites. So it's just interesting that those are getting brought into bowling more and more. But I guess Guppy and Ernie Schlegel started that fad back in the 70s, so they're just bringing it back now.
Loudmouthgolf.com. That Marshall kid is good.
Yeah, I would tend to agree there. Actually, all these guys are pretty good.
Yes.
Got to be pretty good to make it this far on a pattern like this and a field this strong.
Chris Colella, you just saw on lane number 9 or number 10 there. I'm sorry, one of the 7 300s this week.
Yes, correct.
Kevin Williams has got the first 10 strikes right now. As we get an update from Ricky Matsko, who's over there watching.
Thanks, Ricky. Kevin already has a 300 this week. So we're finishing up game 1 of the 4-game, what we're calling the semifinals. It's not actually, because there is a round robin still in between the top 5 tonight. Dude, the banners they're putting up are kind of blocking our view of what they're going to be doing down there, so it's going to be all magical from this point on.
Yeah, but they're Storm and Rotogrip banners, so
They are.
I don't mind that.
They are. So Adam finishing out his 10th frame here and fist in the air because he finally carried something that he tried to carry. So that's going to be the end of game 1 here in front of us on 11 and 12.
Kevin Williams, 299, leaving a 6-pin.
Did he try on the last ball?
I guess not.
So that's going to help him out. He was at 311. Only one. He was one spot ahead of 12th place, but that's going to give him a 100-pin jump and could, depending on what Valenta was doing, could put him well up into the standings. It's hard to see how Mike Marcus is doing right now. We've only got the view that you have on 11 and 12 and what we might be able to see on 9 and 10 that's going on there. You can see Chris tossing another strike on lane 10 there. But we will have updates for you as quickly as possible. There's only 32 bowlers to put scores in for now, so we'll bring them to you as quickly as we can. Once again, too, they will be on the event information tab down below the video window for whenever you, when we do have them posted, you'll be able to look at them at your leisure. As Jeff said, the bottom cash spot out there right now is $570 for 32nd place. It goes up in $10 increments all the way up to 9th place when it's at $800. Tonight's show, if I figured things out right last night, was almost $24,750 that they're bowling for in the 5 positions. So
Impressive prize fund that has been put together by Mike Flanagan and the staff at InsideBowling.com with all the help from sponsors such as Budweiser Storm, the High Roller, and Kegel.
Not sure about the skip procedure. They staggered it yesterday, but with just these 8 pairs in operation over there, I don't know how he's going to have this
I asked
happen.
him, and he said he didn't know. I
Well-
just don't think he wanted to tell me.
No, actually, what probably happened today, and if I understand what's going on, Mike's got some very good help back in the tournament office, as we talked about, and Jerry Anderson has been acting as kind of like his sergeant of arms or whatever for the weekend. He probably sent Jerry downstairs to run this meeting this
It
morning.
could be, because he was
Because
busy.
Mike is
Set preparation.
Yeah, he's got everything going on today, running around. He was actually carrying a ladder earlier, and you'd figure somebody else could do that, but he probably knew where he wanted it, and that's
Yeah.
what he did. So
That's true.
Jerry probably went downstairs and told him what was going on, and Mike just didn't bother himself with it this morning. So Cardi Bowls likes the left lane go left and the right lane go right, and you know what? In some of the tournaments, I like that too. But honestly, from a perspective of broadcasting one of these things and talking about it, it's a lot more helpful if the 4 bowlers would just stay together for us this morning, and we'll know who it is that we're talking about. So
I've always thought like an event like this where it's kind of almost based on kind of like a PBA format. Once you get your pairing set, you want to keep that group together, and everybody kind of learns off each other. So
we just got the word that Bill O'Neill had 183, was
Yep.
it? And Brian Valenta can gain 20 pins on him. He had a 66-pin advantage going into this game. So
And he whiffed a 10-pin. Valenta only gains 9 pins this game.
okay. But remember the 299 that Kevin Williams shot, so that's going to probably vault him up over Valenta. Actually, it will vault him up over Brian Valenta. So Kevin Williams could very well see himself in second place right now.
like I mentioned earlier, just one big game. It doesn't take much to really jumble the standings around. Now with a game down, 3 games left to go, you'll be able to start looking around and see, okay, now it's time to make a big move. You may see some guys near the bottom of the standings gamble a little bit more, try and attack the pattern instead of being patient. At this point, you really don't have enough time left to be patient. You really have to go for it.
You're about to see Angie Ramirez throw on lane 11. One of the most impressive blocks that I saw last night was this young lady. Highest woman, the only woman bowling this morning. Sorry, Angie, kiss of death from the booth here on that smash 710. How many women in the top 32? Good question. 1. So this should be Gary Schluchter, Houston White, Angie Ramirez, and John Serbinsky on this pair that we're going to be watching right now.
So again, we are on the opposite side of the building, so it's a little difficult to be able to kind of watch the field in general and get a good idea on what the pattern is doing and how it's playing this morning compared to the other 3 rounds. Once the bowlers make the move and come back over to our side for the 12 games of match play, we'll have a much better understanding on how things are developing. But you see Bill O'Neill now is moved on to the pair just to the left of our camera pair. So you'll be able to see him. He struggled the first game in the 180 range. He splits to start game 2. So this is the first time we've seen a chink in Billy O's armor. So he's definitely going to have to keep in mind that with the rest of the field starting to catch up a little bit, he's got to kind of stand on the gas a little bit and get himself going.
What a grouping on that pair. If you look at the people that are there, it's Billy O'Neill with a fairly traditional style, if you want to think about that. Two-handed Brian Valenta, one of the bigger power players. You got a Matt McNeil, a fairly, a tweener lefty, and then Ken McNeely, who was firing straight down the twig yesterday or Friday, whenever he was playing with something saying. So there's 2 lefties in the pair.
We talked a little bit about Ken McNeely, about Kenny made a few shows back in the 90s, and I hadn't seen him in 20 years almost, and walked in here last year, and the very first person I saw was him. He bowled well last year, bowling well again this year, making a run at the top 5 for tonight.
Getting some Facebook messages from folks from around the country that are watching. This is a good buddy of mine, Tom Udanza, from up in the upstate New York area, Saratoga. Tommy's still bowling some on the Eastern senior tournaments, PBA senior tournaments. He's been a PBA member for a number of years and said that I look marvelous on the tube. So I like that. Tommy, I'm glad you're watching, man.
Next text, he's going to ask to borrow money.
You think so? Maybe.
Well, of course you look marvelous, dude. You're wearing one of my jerseys.
Yes, I am. And I was wondering which is the official color, because mine's a little darker than the one you've got right now. So
that's a long story. I'll have to explain that to you at some point in time.
Okay.
But actually, the one that I have on now is the official color.
All right. Well, I still like mine. So
we see John Zerbinski now on the feature pair, along with who else do we had? We had Angie Ramirez, Gary Schluster, and Houston White.
Houston White. Folks, we laugh every once in a while because we're reading what's actually in the chat. So if you're looking at the chat too, go ahead. I mean, you'll understand what it is that we see. But there's just input from Cardi Bowles that says, "Let's hear the long story. We have hours of live streaming going on," and he's right.
We do.
If you joined us last night, especially whenever Randy and Mike took over, I understand it was very entertaining in here.
That was pretty funny.
Almost to the point where people were saying, "Did these guys ever talk about bowling?"
Yeah, that's very true. Where else are you going to get that type of entertainment, though, on a Saturday night?
That's right.
While watching the caliber.
Okay, well, the story with the jersey is this. When Jim and I first brought to the PBA the ability for us to create our own style of jerseys, my idea immediately was to use the guitar designs that Eddie Van Halen used on all of their tours. So I did the red, white, and black one, the famous one, the black and yellow one, the black and white one, and then there was also one that he used very scarcely. It was purple with a multicolor stripe design. So I did all my jerseys in those colors and those designs, and we did a couple of different variations. And did that for several years, and they were pretty popular. People were always asking, where can I get one? At the time, Jim and I didn't have the ability to do like player signature jerseys like Boom Apparel does now, and Jim and I does, and some of the other companies. So Storm came to us, the staff, with the idea of, how about we create personas for you guys and create a signature line of jerseys to market and sell. So for those of you that don't know, the stripe design on Eddie Van Halen's guitars is actually trademarked. So when we started discussing this, I used it because my jerseys weren't for sale, wasn't trying to make money off of it, so it wasn't really going to be an infringement. It was just something I was going to wear in honor of, my love for Van Halen. And so when we started talking about doing this deal with Storm, I wanted to use the same jersey design, but we were afraid of the trademark infringements. So one of our graphic designers that I was working with came up a couple different designs for me, and they were okay. They were kind of cool, but it just didn't fit me. And I said, guys, I really want to use this design. Is there any way we can make it happen? So we made a small adjustment to the color, We made an adjustment to some of the stripes. Some of the stripes don't kind of fall in line with the way the original design was. And just kind of tweaked it a little bit just so that way if anything had ever happened, we wouldn't be liable for trademark infringement. So jerseys sold. They sold great. I mean, the first batch was sold out immediately. It was one of the better selling jerseys that we had. The photo shoots that we did and the ads they created were unbelievably cool. It was something very fun to do. You had Pete's jersey with the dragons kind of wrapping around him. Rhino being the big fan of weather. His looked like a meteorologist explosion on his jersey. Tim Mack was kind of like the tank persona. Ryan Schaefer's was the Superman or superhero type of persona. Norm Duke was like class. Belmonte was kind of an illusionist. So it was really a cool thing that Storm did for us to allow us to do this. Well, the next season before we started, I actually got in contact with EVH Guitar Gear, which is the company that sells Eddie's guitar parts and stuff like that. And I started working on it with them to try and create some sort of a sponsorship deal for the tour. Because at that point, the PBA was allowing us to sell sponsorships on our jerseys and outside the industry and do more things. So I talked to them at length. They said, well, we really don't handle this kind of thing. You'll have to go through, I believe it was Kramer Guitars. So I went through Kramer Guitars, and they kind of still said that, we're not involved in this. We'll have to get you in touch with somebody in the Van Halen camp. So I figured I'd never hear a thing back out of this deal. So a few days later, I get an email from a guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think his name was Chris. He says, I'd like to discuss this with you. What would be a good time and a good number I could reach you? So I said, well, anytime's fine. Gave him my cell phone number, and he called within like 30 seconds. And he explains it to me. He was one of the management team for Eddie Van Halen. So I'm basically talking to one of his managers on the phone. And I had sent an email packet out with all the information with the PBA, video clips from one of the shows, pictures, the whole bit. And we talked at length, and he thought it was really cool what we were doing and said that, I talked to Ed about this, and he's flattered, loves it, thinks it's great, but it's just not something that they do. They just don't do like sponsorship and things like that. So even though I got turned down, I thought it was very cool that all of this was actually taken to Eddie Van Halen himself to make the decision on do we proceed forward with this plan or not. So like I said, got turned down, but it was pretty cool that it even got that far. So there's the story on the jerseys.
And Eddie Van Halen is who?
Yes, exactly. Right.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Don't get me started. That'll be a whole nother tirade.
Well, I remember it was fun designing the backgrounds for your website at the time that would randomly, whatever.
Yeah, change.
Every time you refreshed, another Van Halen background would show up on the web pages, and so I loved doing that.
Well, it's just been kind of cool over the years that my son, who is 9, has really gotten into Van Halen, loves them and Kiss both. It's very, very cool that the 80s music is starting to become more and more popular again. And everybody recognizes that stripe design. So
true.
Literally, as soon as you see it, you know where it came from. And it's become popular. I do have my signature line of apparel through Boom Apparel now. We've got the jerseys, the jackets, towels, a lot of stuff available. And we've gotten a number of requests to order this kind of stuff. So very cool.
So David H. and Cardi Bowles both said it was a good story or a great story, but what they don't know is it's not over yet because you didn't say the end.
The end.
Okay. Now it's done.
Told you it was a long story. I warned you.
And I think you were boring Mark, our Mike 0425 in there. So.
Well, he's not the only one. It happens. We got to have something to talk about.
So, in front of us here, about halfway through game 2 of the tournament this morning, it looks like we've got some standings after game 1 updated here. Remember, pins carry over. Billy O'Neill is still in first place with plus 433, but as I said, Kevin Williams vaulted from the 11th spot all the way up into second place at plus 410. He is 12 pins ahead of Matt McNeil, currently in third place at 398. Brian Valenta drops to fourth, plus 376. Mike Dole moved up from 10th into 5th place now at plus 365. We had some people asking about Mike Marcus. Meteoric jump. How was that? Meteoric? You like that? From 17th all the way up to 6th place at plus 359. So let's see, what did he do? Wow, 267 game that time for Mike Marcus. So from 17th all the way up to 6th. Houston White in 7th place. Let's see where he was. He was in 6th, so he's hanging around in that same place at 357. Kurt Pilon up to 8th at 353. Angie Ramirez dropped from 7th to 9th at 350, tied with Gary Schlichter at also 350 in 9th and 10th. Chris Colella, we saw him on the pair to the left of the pair that we're watching right now in that game at 348, and Marshall Kent down to 12th right now at 341. We were watching Brad Miller a little bit. He actually lost 3 pins to even. He's down to 226 over instead of 229 now in 31st place.
Here you go, guys at home. It's going to start scrolling on the right side of your screen there. Standings after game 1 there. Also updated in the tabs at the bottom below the live stream window underneath the event information tab.
And that was our producer, Matt Turek. What is Mike doing? Mike's hanging out of the ceiling up here right now.
I'm sitting here and I'm doing this and I'm like listening to this and I'm like, do you know how far you guys have come?
Mike's trying to pump us up a little bit over here right
Yes,
now.
the pins do carry over into the round of 12, and it is round robin match play with 30 bonus pins for each win. So,
And let's take a look right now. 433 over is in the lead. 341 is in 12th place, and so we are we're about 90 pins separating the lead and 12th, and so
you know, one of the most important things we could talk about right now is the simple fact that that might be the first sign of struggling from Bill O'Neill in 2 years in this event. He literally ran away with this thing last year almost from start to finish. He bowled a 300 game in his only qualifying round that he bowled and just dominated qualifying, leading it by 66 pins and never looked like he saw any trouble whatsoever. He's used the same ball the last 2 years, same layout.
that's
Just
crazy to me.
One is fresh. It was new this year.
Yeah.
But he basically matched what he used here last year, even though we're on a totally different pattern, totally different shape of a pattern, different length, everything is different. So that just kind of goes to show you that the characteristics of the bowling center do blend through no matter what pattern you're bowling on. If you match up in a building well, there's a pretty good chance you're going to match up in that same building no matter what pattern that you put out. And let's not forget the fact that Bill O'Neill's not bad. He's got some skills.
Well, you know,
Or he's got some skittles, however
I
you
guess
wanna
you
look
could
at
say
it.
that. Not bad for Bill O'Neill. It's probably a good way of talking about it. The fact that Marshall Kent is in 12th now was a move up of 3 spots for him. I left that part out, so Marshall's doing what he needs to do. He went from 295 to 341 over, so a 246 game that game, even with that big split in the middle that we watched. So he's impersonating Jeremy Hunt. The 240 game with 2 opens, basically, is that what we were saying yesterday?
I don't think there's any way to mistake Marshall Kent for Jeremy Hunt.
That's probably
or
true.
vice versa.
That's probably
Hopefully
true.
Jeremy's listening. If he's awake already.
If he's awake. Those guys went home last night, I know. So
doubt if
they
he's awake.
Yeah, probably not. Scott is asking for an updated sheet for the top 32 names. Scott, if you'll look down, there's a event information tab down underneath the video window. It's got a drop down on it, so you ought to be able to see what I just read to you. If you look at, I don't know if it's called Squad D or if it's top, what's the event information tab called on this one?
It is called Round of 32 after Game 1.
Round of 32. Okay,
After one
so
game. Yeah.
Got it? Okay.
All the way at the bottom, right above manual refresh, and it is updated and correct. So
Right. I just wasn't sure what would be called for the round. So that's, we were calling this kind of semifinals. Well, let's just call it Round of 32.
Yeah,
That's a good
Round of 32.
That's
I
a good way to
suppose.
refer to this. So we see Angie cleaning up what she left there on the left lane, and John Zerbinski getting ready to throw in that same lane here. Where was John? John is in 13th, so he's just out. He's 5 pins outside of the top 12 right now, getting ready to move in there. Looks like we're going to have some storms in this area today, dude.
Are we?
2 to 3 rounds of severe thunderstorms and heavy
storm
rainfall.
balls going down
Just
the lane.
remember that there's always weather moving in.
Always.
That's why I like weather so much, because it's always changing and it's never the same.
And it's always there.
And it always affects your day-to-day life, regardless of whether it's good or bad.
Brad was talking a little bit about the approaches on the TV set last year being a little difficult to maneuver.
And he said that's why he left the 510 on the TV
He did
show
say
last
that. So, and so now we all have the explanation, and you really wouldn't know that unless you have a chance to sit down and talk to someone like Brad.
I'm not buying it. I saw the shot. I'm not buying it.
But if we do get rain, that's going to complicate things a little bit on these approaches.
I think
Very
people
well
were
could.
struggling a little bit with the approaches as is.
I think that, like I mentioned the other night, the reason why the scores were different from A squad to B squad was the dew point was higher. I know. Don't look at me like that.
Just the smirk on his face when he said that.
The dew point is always my go-to excuse for
I like
anything.
humidity.
Matt,
And that and the simple fact that it's just simple math.
It's break the abacus out.
there are times over here that when he says stuff like that, and you like you said, you notice the look on his face. You
Yeah.
just sit there and just look back. You don't ever acknowledge it. You don't say anything. You just, okay, that's what you said. Good for you.
you put a sentence together.
Yeah.
That just happened.
Kevin Williams update from game number 2. He had the front 4 strikes, then he goes 9 spare, and the next 5.
Wow.
That is game number 2, Kevin Williams.
I'd say unless Billy's doing something special here on this pair to the left of what we're watching, we've got a new tournament leader right now.
So while we are up to 280 viewers right now, let's take a moment to ask everybody to do us a favor. Go to your Facebook page, go to your Twitter page, share the link of the live stream, give InsideBowling.com a little shout out. On Twitter, use hashtag InsideBowling. Do us a favor, spread the word. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell people that you don't like even. Have everybody tune in. Let's see if we can get as many people watching this event as we possibly can. Let them know that the TV finals will be live tonight on InsideBowling.com starting at 7 o'clock, and all of this footage will be uploaded to YouTube within the coming weeks, so you can go back and review it over and over
Who would
again.
want to watch it back? Why not come and watch it live?
Exactly.
Come on
Well,
in.
I'm
Well, actually, do both.
saying watching it again.
It's
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
to do
there you
that,
go.
honestly. I have been to live shows before and then gone home and watched them and just got a different perspective. But wow, it is different, I mean, especially if you've seen it live like that. Question in the
If
chat.
I'm going to watch it again, I'm turning the sound off because I don't want to. I don't want to hear myself talk.
Rotogrip Bowling wants to know if Belmo bowled yesterday. We don't really know that information because, first of all, I don't know when yesterday was in Australia. Do you?
He may have bowled somewhere.
Yeah.
But he didn't
Is
bowl
it
here.
yesterday or is it a day ahead?
We don't know if it's yesterday or today or tomorrow. I think it was, I mean, we were talking to some folks from Japan last night, and I think it was Wednesday there. So I don't know for sure.
Not sure of which week.
Yes. So Belmo could have bowled. He could have also gone to that cool place in Melbourne. What is that?
The Opera House? Or
Yeah,
no, that's
that-
Sydney.
Is that Sydney? You're right, it is
Opera
Sydney. He
House.
could have gone there too. So
Update, Kyle Troop, 254, game number 2.
very nice. Where was Kyle?
I wonder if Kyle has the dance moves going on already this morning like he had going on
Wow,
last
last night was something else.
Yep.
After the first game, Kyle was at 317 over in 16th place, and he found himself 24 pins out of 12th behind Marshall Kent.
Yeah, last night he was like jelly because jam don't shake like that.
And he knew
Yes.
#CrankFro.
Yep, it's
very nice.
catching on.
It
It's
is catching on.
on.
Yep. Yes, he is the guy with the fro.
Technically, it's just big round hair.
Yes, it is.
I think
But you
it's
know,
pretty
talking
cool
to him,
looking.
talking to him yesterday was pretty cool. He's just about as down to earth kind of person as you can want to talk to. So the Art Garfunkel of
Yes,
bowling.
correct.
That is true. 311 total entries in this tournament. Thanks for asking about that. 62 cashers. 32 people make it to the top, to the last the round of 32 this morning, obviously, and then 12 this afternoon to do match play. Once you make the top 12, you're guaranteed $770. Scott, thanks for asking. Absolutely, we do not post bracket info on who cashed.
The pattern is listed down below. Just scroll down and you can see the pattern on the Kegel graph. We've been talking at length all weekend about the 44-foot, 33 mils of oil, 2-to-1 ratio pattern that was designed by Mike Flanagan specifically for this event.
Craig Knight for 259, game number 2.
Starting to see some scores over there. Craig was in 17th place going into this thing at 312 over.
This is a 4-game round.
Kyle actually finished second in this event last year to Bill O'Neill.
Craig.
That's what I said.
I thought you said Kyle.
No, I said Craig.
Okay.
If I said Kyle, then I meant to say Craig, and
Okay.
it's got to be somebody else's fault.
Blue Hen wants to know, sorry to ask how many games. No, don't be sorry. It's fine. There are 4 games in the round, and we're just winding up game 2. So we're halfway through with this 4 games. It's moving fairly quickly.
Just got an update. Bill O'Neill went strike, strike, open, strike, 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 open. And then I think he had a string. This is all from scorekeeper Ricky Matskos, and now he's heading back into the tournament office to take care of the store.
That was
the
almost like a
scores.
rap song, dude. Don't you think?
What?
Strike, strike, open, strike, 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 open.
It was almost as good as strike 8-bagger.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Strike
Yep.
8-bagger.
So,
Where's Jabs
Scott,
this morning?
next big event. Not sure what the plans are as far as inside bowling goes, but I will say little pub time for our group, Land and Lincoln Tournaments. We're based in Central Illinois. Labor Day weekend, save the date. We have our annual Pro-Am fundraiser on Friday night. We're hosting 2 regionals on Saturday. They'll both be one-day events. We've got the Midwest PBA non-champions event along with the Midwest PBA tournament champions going on Saturday, Labor Day weekend. And then Sunday and Monday we will have the 3rd annual Mary Tubner Memorial Team Challenge. That is based on 36 entries. We'll be paying $10,000 to win that event, and that all is Labor Day weekend. And all the proceeds from the entire weekend go to benefit our Bowl Strong Cancer Research Charity. Last year we raised just over $14,000 for that event. So feel free to check out Land and Lincoln Tournaments on Facebook. All of our scheduled events are there. I think somebody had mentioned that we do have an event next weekend in Decatur, Illinois, a youth scholarship event. We actually have one that's going on, starts in about 40 minutes in Bloomington, Illinois. One of our other tournament directors is running that for us. We've got a sweeper being bowled on the Mexico City pattern today. So check us out on Land and Lincoln Tournaments. We've got a lot of stuff going on throughout the entire year.
Are there
Not sure.
tacos?
Yes,
There are tacos.
you can
Not
get a
sure
free
if
taco with
we
Mexico
reported
City.
Kevin Williams 268. Bill O'Neill needed a 6-count spare in the 10th and a strike to give him 220.
So we will have a new tournament leader. Kevin Williams, a big rise this morning.
Yeah, Brad Miller is still trying to collect smart funds with everything he bowls because he still looks like he's 12.
Well, he bowled our Midwestern Open tournament, and everybody thinks that it was only a junior event, and it was not. It was an all-ages event. He ended up winning. Granted, there were a lot of junior bowlers there, and also in his credit, they were a lot of good, high-caliber Lindenwood bowlers and McHenry bowlers. He did win the event, and he received a lot of grief about not having anything to bowl, so he goes and bowls a junior tournament.
Beating
and
up on the
wins.
kids, yeah.
I
saw that
so
on
and so
Facebook.
can't
I
get their,
heard
their
Brad.
books.
I heard Brad still gets to go to $4 movies and get in. And, yeah.
Showing his
So, yeah.
his junior high ID.
I've known Brad since he was probably 10 years old, and I know I pick on him a little bit only because I really think the world of him, but he's pretty much the same size as he was when he was 10, and he looks about the same. So
You know,
his
I don't
mom
know
and
if
dad
you
are great
guys-
people. I know them, and he's a good kid.
I don't know
Works
if you
hard.
guys know about his blog.
Yeah,
He's
I did
been
read it.
Blogging about
That's
his
awesome.
experience out on the
Yeah.
regional circuit.
I usually
No,
can't
it's a
read
national.
anything.
As a national.
Yeah.
I
it was
usually
national.
can't read anything that long in
Yeah.
one setting.
It
usually
is a
takes
long.
me 4 or 5
he,
days.
He's went into really great detail about what it's like to go out on tour and the mental and just the grind that it is to travel and bowl and learn from your experience. It's a great blog to read. Brad Miller.
That's why I only occasionally read Jeff Riggle's blogs, is because I can't read that much information at one time.
Well, I usually wait until Jeff tells me to read the blog because he usually
the blog.
He usually
Yeah.
does, and then I go and read it. So
Brian Valenta has a 259 going. He has the first strike in the 10th. Imagine he needs the next two for 259.
that'll put him in the plus 420s. But Kevin Williams, how much did he have that game again?
Kevin Williams had 268.
So that's 470 something, 478 for him at this point. We know Billy O'Neill was only going to probably go up about 20 pins, if I understand
He
that
shot
right.
220.
Okay, so that's 450. So now Kevin's gone 20 pins ahead of Bill. Don't really have a report on Matt McNeil right now to find out. He was in third place, but Brian Valenta's going to go into the 420 area. So he'll be only 30 pins behind Bill O'Neill at this point.
You know, an interesting point is, we talked earlier about how many left-handers are in the top 32, and I count 7 as of right now. But at what point do we have to start talking about how many two-handers are out there, and then how many left-handed two-handers are there? Because I count 5 two-handers out of the top, and I know technically everybody has 2 hands, so we have 32 two-handers in the top 32, but ones that actually throw it with 2 hands. We have at least 5, so we're starting to see more and more of them show up, even in tougher events like this.
Brian Valenta finished 256 that game officially.
So that is 432 for Brian Valenta. We know Kevin Williams 478, and we know Billy O'Neill at 453. So Valenta's only 21 pins now behind O'Neill, and he started the day 66 pins back from Bill O'Neill. Good question about how many people are in the finals. In the finals right now, we're part of the PBA league.
I'm pretty sure 3 of them. I think we have O'Neill, Zerbinski, and Jason Sterner. Tom Hess was 2 years ago, but he wasn't this year. So I think there was 3 that are bowling right now. But, when we talk about the strength of this field, and we look at the names of the bowlers that did not make it to today. We've got A.J. Johnson, Nathan Bohr, Rob Gottschall, Dino Castillo, Zeke Bate, E.J. Tackett, Andrew Anderson.
Speaking of Jason Sterner, he's now on the featured pair with Brad Miller.
You've got D.J. Archer, Liz Johnson.
How come we can only get like Brad's shoulders and head in the screen in the shot?
Oh, no, you guys aren't allowed to pick on Brad. That's only me.
Okay, that's only
you.
you.
Guys don't get to. Brad needs to. They're
Nice
yeah,
kick.
there-
He's
there he
smiling
was, there he
too.
is.
Awesome
Yeah.
smile there, Brad.
Yep.
Matt McNeil 201 that second game.
So he's going to drop into the 4th or 5th position here. Eddie Bird didn't make it either, right? Eddie is one of the best bowlers in St. Louis from Scott.
I need
living in
Eddie to
Dallas
be
right now.
really, really good next weekend because Eddie's on our companion team for the USBCs. So we're looking to head out to Reno and have a good weekend next weekend.
I'm really looking forward to that,
Yep.
dude.
Should
Really
be
am.
a lot of fun.
Is that Craig Niderford? Or I can't tell. No, that's not Craig Niderford.
Looks like that pairing is
It's-
Tom Hess, J.R. Raymond, Brad Miller, and Chris Seligman.
Jason Sterner is on this pair. He started the match. And this is the two. No, I'm not sure who this is. Brad Miller is also on this pair. He already bowled.
Well, then our pairing is off
Yeah,
a little bit because
something
that's
happened there. Because
that looked like J.R. Raymond right there.
After this is JR.
No, this is
Not this. This should be Jason Sterner, top left bowler,
no,
and
that's
Brad
not
Miller.
Sterner there, unless Sterner was just in.
on the
Yeah,
right
see,
there?
I would imagine that would
Yeah,
be
that's-
Chris Seligman. That's. I think we have another
No, that's-
two-hander.
that's Sterner.
That's Jason Sterner.
So I think they messed up the pairings over there a little
Very
bit.
well
I
could
guess
have.
it doesn't make any difference, but
Sterner.
Yeah,
Seventh
because
in.
I've got him on
The pair
other
above,
pair.
yep.
Yeah.
he should have been with Matthew Pearson and Vernon Peterson and Kevin Tatro.
But like we said, we are on the opposite side of the bowling center, so basically we're calling the action as we see it come through, on the cameras.
Look at that break for Brad. Did you see that?
Yeah, I heard an update from Ricky talking to Brad after the last game. He said he's got one ball that does nothing and one ball that does too much, and his over-under is pretty extreme. But he's pulling his head out. He said keep an eye on him the next two. He might try to do something special.
It's never a good feeling, that handcuff feeling where
Yeah.
you just have nothing.
I believe that was a zero gravity they just threw to do that. It was just a smash 410. That was stupid.
Yes, we do have a clue what we're doing. Thanks for asking.
Yep. Deadwood ball there from Tom Hess.
He's laughing at me. He said that it wasn't a smash 410. Well,
Well, it really wasn't. It was light.
whatever, dude.
How many rotations per throw?
RPTs.
It's toss.
Toss.
Let's get the
Hey,
terminology
tees,
right.
throws, toss. Brad Miller.
All right, guys. All you folks who are arguing with me in the chat, who's got the microphone in front of their face is what I want to ask you.
Well, technically, me and Matt do too.
You
Yeah.
do too,
Yeah.
but they're asking. They're arguing with me.
Actually, no, we didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I wish we would have.
God, I do
It
too.
would have been better than the accommodations
Man,
that
that
we
little
did have.
postage stamp of a bed that I was
I
sleeping
know
on
it.
the last couple of nights. Wow.
Postage stamp.
Yeah.
With the Cardinals and Pirates and the Blues and Blackhawks and everything else going in town, there was no hotel rooms in this entire town for the entire weekend. So we ended up staying almost 30 miles away.
Jason Sterner on the left now with a fairly nice shot. No, it wasn't Microtel. But they were a sponsor for, Shamricker's got it. Oh, man. So let's see how
Brad Miller, he struck on this lane last time.
yeah, and then
Brad's talking about how tall he wants to be. Did you see that little motion where he was over his head?
yeah,
Oh, ball, something. Is he on the right lane?
maybe he wasn't up.
Maybe they just realized that Jason Sterner was
Did he
on
get
the
it?
pair.
Did he strike on the other lane? I guess he did. I didn't see the last shot that he threw.
I'm not sure.
So I guess maybe I don't know what's going on.
This is his bad lane, and he does carry it.
Nice shot there. That was a smash strike, dude.
We are actually in game 3
Of 4.
of 4, the beginning of game 3. After the next game, they'll be cutting to the top 12 for round robin match play. Be back on this side of the bowling center in front of us, so we'll have a bird's eye view of what's going on. So
Bird's eye. The Storm guys are taking away all the extra bowling balls that were back in the room over there.
they
looks
are.
like.
Shocker Mom, welcome back to the chat. She's been here all weekend.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. We're now up over 300 viewers, so that's awesome to see. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. We'll be with you all afternoon, calling the action from the 2014 IB Open at wonderful Tropicana Lanes in St. Louis, Missouri.
A number of one of the larger centers in St. Louis, I believe. What's the center that's got North in the name? North
Oaks?
North Oaks is probably the largest center in St. Louis, right? I
At
would
this
think.
point. Well,
Right.
St. Clair, I'm not sure if it tops St. Clair or not. We got updated standings here, game number 2 in the booth.
So as we said, Kevin Williams goes into first place at plus 478. 25 pin lead over Bill O'Neill now in second place. Brian Valenta 21 pins behind that at 432. Mike Dole hangs around where he was doing his job. He was plus 365 and goes up to 419. So 250 game to keep himself in contention there. Mike Marcus 417 now in fifth place. Matt McNeil still hanging around, but he only gained 1 pin last game, so he goes from 398 to 399 over. Kurt Pilon up to 7th at 397. Chris Colella is now in 8th place from 11th, 395. Kyle Troop jumped from 16th all the way up to 9th that time. He's tied with Craig Nidifer at 371 in 10th place. Angie Ramirez is doing her best to keep herself in the top 12 right now. She's 364 over in 11th. And Ken McNeely has dropped from his original 4th place, dropped from 4th all the way down to 12th right now at 361. He's got a 5-pin lead over Houston White and an 11-pin lead over both Tommy Barish and A.J. Rice. Not really a lot of separation either. 12th place right now is 361. 19th place is Gary Schlichter at 325, so only 35 pins basically. 36 pins separate 19th from 12th place.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can.
Over here on the other side of the building, I'm watching Brad Miller bowl, and he has a double and just threw a pocket 7. But here's what's interesting about the shot. He actually is already starting to get into it. I don't know where he's at in the standings, but he knows he needs every single pin, and you can see the intensity over here start to pick up a little bit.
Brad's in 30th place right now at 225 over. He finds himself 135 pins out of the 12th position.
And McNeely, he's got the first 3. He's up on lane 15 looking for 4 in a row, and it's a wrap 7. So McNeely, triple 7, 7 pin on 15. And Ashley actually is over here on this side of the building and is now checked in, and she will give you guys some updates here from this one spot
Awesome.
whenever
Thank
you
you.
need it,
Thank
okay?
you.
Ashley's much better looking than you, so we can take that.
Matthew Pearson throwing a shot on lane 10 right there in the yellow pants. Not very happy with the result. Barter right now is in 20th place. I'm sorry, I thought I said something to him. He was just behind Gary Schlichter. He's 318 over. You'll be able to see the standings in the
have
event
been
information
updated.
tab.
They have updated after game number 2.
So you can look down below and in the top 32. Johnny P's asking for a troop fashion update from Ashley whenever she's able to do it.
There really isn't anything to say. He's been pretty calm fashion-wise all weekend. So,
but I haven't seen him this morning, so I didn't know what he was wearing today.
I saw his hair walk in, but I didn't see what he was wearing.
You guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, on troop.
We just lost you.
Brad Miller striking.
Am I back?
There
You're
you are.
back.
I'm back. Okay, so we gave Troop a name. He is Screech from Saved by the Bell this morning.
Yeah, that's
That works.
that was in the chat for a while yesterday. I think they came up with some other nicknames as well, but we're calling him the Crank Fro.
Yep.
His fro is actually a bit smaller this morning.
Oh, it's tamed down?
Do you think that was intentional?
Well, if he
Hello?
he
Yes.
could be less or more aerodynamic, which increases ball speed.
That's true.
He's creating more momentum. So that's another adjustment he can make that other people can't, is by changing his hair. It may actually
How do you
alter
think-
Get
ball
to the line.
motion.
Get to the
How
line
do you
faster.
think he shrinks that fro down? Do you think he's got like a helmet that he puts on that
That's
smashes
a good point.
it
We
in
may
there?
need to interview him on that.
And ask him, yeah.
Well, I don't know if the hair is working for him, but it's doing something for him. He has the front 6 this game.
Very
Very
nice.
Actually, correction, that's the front 7.
He needs that right now. He's in 9th. He's got to solidify his spot there in the top 12 and keep himself for so he can be bowling this afternoon and in front of us over here.
You know, there's a great point. I totally agree. I think the dew point
The
has
dew
totally
point. I
affected
knew
his
it.
throw.
I knew you would do it.
I love that.
Brad Miller coming in high in a 4-pin.
That was a smash 4-pin.
Everything is smashed.
See, Vernon Peterson just left a split off to your left there. So he is now moved into the picture along with Matthew Pearson, Kevin Tatro, and we're actually not sure who's on that pair because we thought Jason Sterner was there, but he's actually on the pair that's...
Well, I did see Tom Hess on the pair.
Well,
to
I
the
think
left.
Matthew Pearson probably and Jason Sterner switched around because Matthew should have been with the
Oh,
bottom.
you know what? There was a tie. That's
Oh.
why. There
Gotcha.
was a tie at 232, and Mike probably had a tiebreaker, maybe high game for the
Gotcha.
block or something.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's why
on-
those two are changed around.
On that pair with Matthew Pearson, we have Vernon Peterson, Tom Hess, and Kevin Tetro is also on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. We actually had a long conversation about Vernon's mustache yesterday. So, hey, Chris Hester joining us. Finally woke up at the crack at 10:30.
Excuse me, I think it's 11:30 where he's at. So
Oh, that's true. 11:30.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Sleep it in.
yeah.
Yeah. Cartoons must have finally gotten over.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
with,
and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Chris has already had at least one popsicle today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris.
Michael Marcus with the front 8 on lanes 3 and 4.
Awesome.
Ashley, can you confirm that?
I am here. Let me confirm. My mic only works in one spot, so I'm kind of grounded.
We
That's
understand.
okay. Apparently, Troop went wrap 10.
Shout out to Jack Zelsey.
Yeah. God loves Zach.
Casey France likes him too there. So
Oh,
Zach, thank you very much.
Hester's already had 3 popsicles. You go, kid.
3 popsicles.
He said that's why he got sent home from the hospital early, is because he was eating them out of popsicles.
Gotcha. Well, Chris, I'm glad you're out of the hospital.
Yes, very much so.
Sterner almost with the 210 there. Something's going on. They're looking off to the left.
Okay.
Over there.
There's a couple strings.
Here I am, Matt Marcus. He does have the front 9.
Big move for him today.
You know, he's somebody that we really haven't talked much about this weekend, but I've kind of watched Marcus a little bit over the years. He bowled a little bit on tour here and there, bowled some regionals, and I watched him a little bit this weekend, and he's so much improved over what I remember 5-6 years ago. It's really nice to see guys that continually work hard on their games and do the necessary things to get better and come out here and compete at a high level. So congratulations to him, whether he makes the top 12 or not, for having a tremendous weekend.
Well, I'd say he's probably in pretty good shape because he's gone from 17th to 6th to 5th, and right now he's got the front 9. So I think he's in real good shape to make the top 12 today. I've seen Matthew Pearson bowling some things around. He came down and bowled the marathon at Jackson.
Oh, love that event.
This year.
That's one of the funnest events you'd ever bowl.
And I think he won it. And so there, when people come from up here down there, they appreciate the support. Obviously, whenever they come from the city down to Jackson to do that kind of stuff. But then obviously they were talking about him quite a bit after he ended up winning the event. So it was kind of cool to see that happen and then put the face with it because I wasn't there that night. Matthew's got a really nice game. And it's nice to see guys like that in this top 32 from around here. There's Vernon Peterson using with what jerseys he got on today.
I think that's another one of his 2013 USBC Eagle jerseys that he had created.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Very nice.
Oh, we thought that jersey was from 1972.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, guys. We're going to have a cool little feature here.
Okay.
Getting it worked out right now.
Oh, and nice. So
The handheld cam?
The handheld cam, Ricky Matsko, score collector.
Oh, I was going to call it the Flanny cam.
the Wander Cam.
Here we go.
We need to just mount it to Flanagan's head and call it the Flanny
take
cam.
it on down here to Ricky.
To 3 and 4.
Lanes 3 and 4, as you see right here
There we
on
go.
your screen.
With Sean Swanson throwing a shot on lane 3 there.
There's Mike Marcus up on
Right.
lane 4.
And it looks like he's got the front 10 right now.
He does. It's a great shot there by Ricky Matsko.
And an update on your leader, Kevin Williams. He has 46 left with a strike in the 9th.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rex, we'll come back to your question there, Jeff. That's a good question. I'm going to throw that over to Jeff here in a second.
Oh.
There you actually
seven.
get a look
Wow.
at the Kyle Troop fashion for the day.
Yeah, we could.
Pretty bland. Disappointed in him.
As we take it over to the next pair. This is pretty cool.
Anthony Pepe right behind him.
Yeah.
Here, this is a kind of nice view here. I like this.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Folks, you're getting to see this for the very first time.
And Bill O'Neill with the front 8.
There's TD, Tom Doherty.
So Billy O'Neill decided he better do some work.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Oh, man, Anthony Pepe. Smooth as silk. Where is who had
Johnny P's giving me some crap. Was that a
Screech
crash 7? And I think it was smash, dude. Get my terminology right.
There's Craig Nidifer up on lane 3. So we're going to show you this view for just a few more seconds, then hop back over to 11 and 12, give Ricky a break.
take it back over here? Jason Sterner's now up.
Well, we were talking a little bit. Mike came over and gave us that. Yeah, I guess the camera's a little heavy, huh? To be able to hold steady.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty heavy. Ricky, give your arms a break.
Oh, I see.
Is there another string going on?
Ashley, update on Bill O'Neill?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, Bill just left the 4-pin, came across and took it out for the front 9.
So that was a smash 4 almost then.
With a inverted cartwheel messenger.
Inverted cartwheel messenger.
Andrew Ramirez on a turkey with 69 left.
He was in a 3G negative dive with a MiG-22.
This is getting pretty exciting, dude. All these people that are kind of up in the top 12 are just throwing huge games to keep themselves there right now. With one game to go, it's a big deal. Andrew Ramirez has got 269 left.
She's been bowling
She was in
outstanding.
11th place. for being the only woman to make the top 32, and it looks like she's going to solidify a spot in the top 12 right now.
I wish you guys could watch this wireless cam as Ricky makes his way through the bowlers area. It's like flying through these people.
Well, when we also found out it's not specifically heavy, but in order for him to
It's
get
awkward.
to get the view, he's got to have his hands straight up in the air, and he's got to be shooting over everybody that's out there right now.
And
So
here
that's
we'll take it down to Ricky here, as we have our two-handed lefty.
this is Kevin Williams now up on the left lane here.
Looked like it didn't get up.
That was a smash 3-6-7.
All right, dude.
Okay, I'll
Smash.
stop. I'll stop. They got me going in the chat. Chris Colella with the gray and black, according to his mom.
Carrying him good. Looks like Jason Sterner over here on our featured pair has 710.
Folks, we're noticing in the chat as you're saying here that there are things going on. We'll get it addressed as soon as we possibly can.
As long as it's not a green screen, you're okay.
It's attempting to reconnect.
Yeah, just hold with us, and we will be back with you soon.
They're not going to get it right now. So. You don't have internet either. You're. Yeah.
All right, guys, we should be back.
Please let us know in the chat what you're seeing right now, but it looks like we lost internet connection there for a few moments. Still with 313 viewers, it looks like over here, dude, or?
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
I love the fact that we've got 300 viewers already this morning. What's it going to turn out to be like this
I can't
afternoon?
wait to see what it's going to be like. Last year we almost hit 1,000. If we didn't hit over 1,000, let's see if we can't top that.
That'd be nice. So let us know in the chat, are you back? If you can hear us. We're black again, I think.
Bill O'Neill with the 10 pin. First shot in the 10th frame.
Thanks, Miss Ashley. It is
Angie
recording.
can
Okay.
keep her ground here with 69 going into the 10th. She gets the first one. She's sitting pretty good.
So you said Bill O'Neill left the 10 pin in the 10th?
Yes, he did.
What's he got out? What's the max out for him right now?
279.
279.
Okay.
He had the front nine.
He had the front nine. Gotcha. Okay.
So basically, he went strike 8-bagger.
Strike 8-bagger.
Did.
Very nice. We saw Kevin Williams leave a split when we were looking at him a few minutes ago on the traveling cam there, and we could have another lead change.
Yeah, very possible. I think Bill O'Neill felt the pressure of Kevin Williams coming up, taking the lead from him. Now he's going to do everything he can to get back into the lead. Now, keep in mind they are going to be having 12 games of match play immediately following, with bonus pins involved. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but somebody in Billy's shoes and at his caliber, he never wants to be out of the lead in an event like this.
Bill O'Neill with the strike in the 10th. Finish at 279.
Thank you. That will give Bill 532 over for 11 games now, with one game to go in this round of 32 this morning. Let's see what Kevin Williams comes up with.
Angie Ramirez with the first strike in the 10th. Very flush shot.
And you said 368 or 268 possible for her?
69.
269 possible for her. Very nice. So that would put her, keeping pace with Bill O'Neill, who just shot 270. That would keep her within 100 pins of the lead at this point.
Correction, that's 49. She has an open in the first frame.
Okay. So we're just winding up right now on the end of game 3. And one game to go still in the round of 32 until we finally do cut to the top 12 for our match play this afternoon. Right now, while we scramble to bring the actual live stream back, there is still the recording that's being done on this. So hopefully, while we're doing all of this, it'll still give you what's going on during this period of time anyways. Interesting to see what's going on in that 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th places down there as we're winding up game 3.
And McNeely finishes his game with 3 strikes in the 10th for 258.
And he was in 12th, so that's a big move for him too. That'll give him 419 over for his 3 games now.
Brian Valenta also throws the last 4 for 216.
216.
Yes.
Okay, so 448 for him. What did Angie Ramirez finish up with?
$238.
Thank you. 238 gives her 402. You know, with the scores that these folks are bowling, they're not allowing. It's almost like they're not allowing the ones that are behind them to catch up on them at all in the top 12. They're throwing 230s, 240s, and 250s, and that's protecting your position in the standings. That's for sure.
Houston White, I'm not sure what position he's in, finishes his game with 244.
That's important because Houston White's in 13th, so that's an awesome find there, and that gives him 400. So that puts him 2 pins behind Angie Ramirez, and they're probably still in the 10th, 11th, 12th range here, so we'll keep a good eye on them during Game 4. So we're getting reports on what's happening over there from our on the Rome reporter, Miss Angie, as we're going here, and Ashley, I'm sorry. We are finishing up Game 3 and getting ready to start Game 4. They probably have flipped by now and getting in a lot of the lanes over there.
Yes, they have flipped and we are getting started, so I'll give you guys updates as I walk and move. My mic only works in one spot.
Understand. Thank you very
No
much.
problem.
So I'm listening to the reports that we're getting, and we don't even have a shot on the screen in front of us right now on what's happening, but Ashley's keeping us involved. Thank you, Mike. Keeping us involved in what's happening in front of the camera right now. Matt Gasson, ready to shoot the spare that he's got on the right lane. And it looks like we've got Anthony Pepe, that is Anthony Pepe on the left lane here, getting ready to bowl. Anthony was in 16th place after 2 games. And didn't get a chance to see what he had in Game 3 yet, but we'll have a standings for you just a few moments. And Anthony leaves a 7-pin on that toss. Tom Doherty now up on the right lane. He's still very far right and carries that one. Tom was kind of down at 23rd place or so after 2 games, and so trying to fight his way back. Anthony Pepe up on the left lane now trying to make that 7-pin spare.
Pepe had 216 his third game.
216, so that gives him 359. It looks like he's about 50 pins out of 12th position at this point.
Craig Knighted for 257 his third game.
Wow. So 428 for Craig Nidifer right now, plus 428 after 3.
And to start the 4th game, he's on a double his start of the game.
Thanks, Ashley. Folks, these numbers that I'm telling you right now are not official numbers. We're getting the reports of what they shot in Game 3, and I'm doing Common Core math here to update the standing sheet in front of me, and then it'll be confirmed as soon as we get the standing sheet printed out. But we're doing the best we can right now to keep you up to date on what's going on.
And the shot you just saw was a messenger back troop for a 3-bagger to start this 4th game.
What did Kyle have in Game 3?
He had a 267 Game 3.
Wow. Kyle Troop is also doing his job there, so that gives him 438. The job that these folks are doing to protect their position in the top 12 is just outrageous right now. So I'm hoping that we might be back at this point. You can see Anthony Pepe on the right lane throwing a shot and actually smashing the pins all over the place, so that was a smash strike. That's the last time I'll say that unless it actually happens again. Got a little argument from some folks a few minutes ago. we should be back talking to you, hopefully. And I'm getting some information into the chat that we are back. We're actually still recording during that period of time, but we had lost an internet connection, folks, and that's what happened why we weren't with you. But you can kind of see what's going on. We are early in Game 4. What we have is some reports on scores that were shot in Game 3, and this is not official, but it looks like Kyle Troop, who was in 9th place, is up to 438 over. He was tied with Craig Nidifer. Craig is at 428 now after 3 games. Ken McNeely moved up to 419. Angie Ramirez is at 402. And Houston White at 400. And that's what's going on in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th spots. So it looks to me like, if I'm not mistaken, and we don't have all the scores from way up above, but if I'm not mistaken, it could be a 2-pin game right now between 12th and 13th position.
Marcus with a 4-bagger.
Thank you. Kyle Troop playing straight down the outside, and I'm not going to call that what it was, but the 7-pin is still standing.
Possible 7-10-10 fell.
Right. Of course, Chris Hester in the chat now talking about Sean Swanson being an inspiration. That is true. He is really amazing that he's actually out here and still as effective he is. Now, he's had some pretty good reports, some pretty encouraging reports as of late, and that's always nice whenever he keeps us up to date on there. So everybody's kind of pulling for Sean, as a matter of fact. You saw Tom Doherty on the right lane, on lane 12 just now, throw the shot and leave the 10-pin.
Sean Swanson's games this morning were 2-6.
You're breaking up there a little bit, Ashley.
2-6, 2-16, 2-21, and 2-15.
There you go.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Okay, while we were down, I actually took an opportunity to go over there and talk to Billy O'Neill for a little while, kind of figure out what happened to him this morning. You know, he had a rough start, turned it around, got it going, and we were talking for a little bit, and he thought that they played a little bit tighter to start with, and that's what he was kind of fishing around with his angles with the same ball he'd been using all weekend. And then he realized that they weren't tighter, they were actually hooking more, especially in the fronts. What he was seeing was backwards. He was seeing more friction, the ball was losing energy down lane, and it just made it appear like the lanes were a little bit tighter. So he actually went to a weaker ball, same layout, closed his angles down, just tried to keep it in front of him, keep it on line longer. He said it totally opened up the entire lane for him. So now he's back to striking. He's got a great look. He says he's got more hold down lane. So it was one of those cases where he kind of misread what he saw was going on, made the proper adjustment that somebody his caliber obviously knows how to do, and off he went.
But kind of remarkable. I mean, he's been talking about using the same ball for so long here, and now he's actually had to switch to a different
Well,
ball.
that kind of goes along the lines of what we talked about earlier in the weekend, where you really have to keep your options available, keep an open mind, and just because a ball has worked for a year and 3/4 in this event doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work all the time. So you can't be afraid to try something different or to go away from what had been working and go to something that you think will work.
There's a little move there by Troop.
I have a update for you guys.
Thank
All right.
you.
I have your official top 12. In first, we have Bill O'Neill with plus 532. Michael Marcus is in second with plus 506. Kevin Williams is in third with plus 488. Brian Valenta is in fourth with plus 448. Chris Colella is in fifth with plus 441.
Big move up for Chris from 8th
Kyle
to 4th.
Troop is sitting in sixth with plus 428. Craig Nidifer sitting in seventh with plus 423. Matt McNeil is holding in eighth with plus 424, but there is a tie because Kurt Pylon also has plus 424. Ken McNeely and AJ Rice are both tied with plus 419. In 12th, Mike Dole with 406. And we got Andrew Ramirez in 13 with plus 402. Houston White is at plus 400. And Tommy Barish in 15th with plus 397.
There you have it. Thanks, Ashley.
Does TV take inches off the fro?
No, I think we explained that is due to the high dew point.
The dew point?
In the area. So, and that's not mountain dew point. That would just be the dew point.
So, kind of recapping what Ashley just told us, Mike Dole in 12th place right now at 406. Angie Ramirez is only 4 pins behind there at 402. Houston White, 2 pins behind that at 400. So we've got a 6-pin separation between 12th and 14th. And then add in Tommy Barish at 397. So 4 people right now really fighting out for 12th position, and that doesn't take out Gary Schlichter at 372. I mean, a decent game out of him. Or you can't really count out any of the guys. I mean, look at these names. Marshall Kent, 365. Yeah, he's 35 pins out of it right now, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, not at all.
You know, Anthony Pepe, 359. He's 35 pins out, but that doesn't mean anything. Adam Barty behind that. John Serbinski behind that. Vernon Peterson behind that. How can you count out any of those guys?
Yeah,
with a game to
and
go?
you know, one other factor that comes into play now that they're in the middle part of the final game to see who makes the top 12 is the squeeze factor. It's amazing how much, when you need it, certain players thrive in those situations, and certain players, I don't want to say run away from the pressure, but they're just not as comfortable.
Ricky over there saying Marshall Kent made a big jump to the outside, and it's working great for him.
Keep us up to date on that, because Marshall Kent is only 35 pins out of what's going on here. So
Marshall Kent's just shot at a spare in his 9th frame, and it looks like if he punches, he only has 205 punches.
Marshall Kent has only got 205 out for this 4th game.
Yes.
Just to address the question Rex has kind of thrown up at us twice now about being able to get your fingers below the equator. One of the easiest drills that you can do to work on any release issues is to do the one-step drill, slow everything down to where you can really control where your hand is, and just simply work on the motion with that. If you do the one-step drill and repeat it over and over again, you start to get a feel for where your hand needs to be. Then you can start to apply the rest of your approach into it and start to work on it. But there are some training tools out there that you can use. We use a couple different things. We use some of the products from Eileen's Bowling Buddy as far as some of the things that we work on. The ball that actually has the finger holes in it to work on getting the right hand position. And we also use a Nerf football. If you work on using a Nerf football, throwing it underhand, and if you can get a tight spiral, that gives you a really good feel what your normal release should be like. So there's some drills that you can do. I know the one-step drill may look and seem odd, but trust me, I use it on all the college kids I work with. We do it in the turbo camp extensively, and a lot of the younger kids that I worked with.
I have an update for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashley.
Craig Nidifer with the front 7. Kyle Troop leaves the 2-8, but he converted it.
So Nidifer, who is already in 7th, he's firmly going to position himself up into the top 12. But we still have quite a few players that are fighting for that top 12 position.
So the folks that we've got on the pair in front of us here are, we've got Pepe and Doherty.
Tom with a 710.
Marshall Kent throws the smoothest gutter in the 10th frame I ever seen.
I think he realized that at this point he was not going to make the top 12. So be careful there, Kingpin 324. We know it's a 710, but we have to to
We
choose
can't
our
qualify. Yeah.
we have to choose our words carefully on how we call
Well, it
those.
certainly wasn't a smash 710.
It wasn't
no
a
matter
smash
how you want to look
710,
at
yeah.
it.
Tom almost goes over the line there. A little balance problem, but
Hey, that kind of reminds me of the coolest 710 story that I've ever seen. We were bowling a regional in Heron, Illinois, and Derek Sapp is bowling Jason Sterner in the round of 8, I think, and it's a best of 5 match, if I remember correctly. And 10th frame of game 5, Sapp gets up. He has to mark to win the match. He has to get a mark to win the match, okay? So he gets up, he 7-10s.
that's a verb in that situation.
It's a verb in that situation. He leaves a 7-10, and he goes up, and he makes it, but he fouled.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was...
I guess I had never heard that one.
Yeah. I've told that story about 1,000 times, usually with Sapp next to me as he's rolling his eyes at me.
Yeah.
But it was a cool story.
To the Barta fans. To the Barta Nation fans, Barta has 237 left with a double in the 10th. Craig Niderford also has the front 8.
Good for Craig.
Thanks, Ashley. You
So-
also see Mike Marcus over there off to the left of your screen. We were talking a little bit about him earlier.
So for you folks who are answering questions in the chat about where to find the standings, thank you very much. While we're talking, I usually don't interrupt what's going on here, but I know you guys are taking care of each other in there, and I appreciate that. I think Tom Doherty's trying to figure out how many times he can leave the 7 and the 10 standing up there at the same time. This time he just leaves the 7, and he's kind of hopping around almost like Dino.
Nobody hops like Dino.
Nobody hops like Dino?
Dino has hops.
This pair is torturing the righties.
In my opinion, all pairs torture the righties, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
Anthony Pepe with a very nice strike on the left there, and Tom gets up there quickly to make this 7-pin.
Yeah, Anthony Pepe sure throws it good. Good kid, too.
Matt Gasson now getting ready to throw his shot on lane 11.
I think Matt may drill more bowling balls than any person alive. And he's always looking for the old relics and trading stuff and everything. But it seems like every time you turn around, he's drilled 4 or 5 new balls and posting the pictures of them.
Oh,
Bill O'Neill has 256 left going into the 8th frame.
so Billy's woke up and doing his job now at trying to keep the lead of this tournament. Although Mike Marcus has done remarkably today, from 17th all the way up to 2nd place.
He
right now.
has. We talked earlier about just one big game is really all it takes to get you going, and then you could build on that momentum and your confidence swells and get you heading in the right direction. So, very cool to see.
Tommy figures out a way to get all 10 to fall down now. Rex is just now noticing that Kyle Troop is in front of the cameras. Man, that throw is down today,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's big time down.
It's because it's cool today.
It's because it's
It's cool.
It's the dew point. We're telling you, it's the dew point.
Angie Ramirez has 258 going into the 8th frame.
She
Good.
may sneak back up in this thing.
good for Angie. She was in 13th.
Right
What's Mike Dole and AJ Rice doing right now, Ashley?
Okay, give me a second.
Watching Anthony Pepe now up onto the right lane here. Yeah.
AJ Rice finishes his 4th game with 235, so he finishes plus 454.
And you said Angie had 258 out?
Yes, she has 258 out. She was going into the 8th frame.
Okay.
She's probably going to need them all.
Sounds like it right now. To go ahead AJ Rice she's going to have now. It depends on what Mike Dole's got going on, but because there's a fight for spot number 12 right now. Hashtag wet crank pro. That's pretty nice. I like that. It looks like Anthony Pepe's got like 250 if he gets this strike, so that's a big one for him. He was in 18th right now, so that's going to give him 14 something for Soul Glow. Getting a report in the chat that Dole had 190 the last game. That is unconfirmed, but if that happens, Angie's going to go around him regardless of what she does. Now, Houston White was still in striking distance, and so was Tommy Barish, so we got to see what's happening here. If that report is correct, did you see they're talking Dole had 190?
Okay, yeah, I was actually talking to one of our sales reps from Storm, Ralph Solon. We're making some plans. We've got some sales meetings coming up in a couple weeks. So
Anthony fixing to close out here for, looks to me like a 258 maybe. That's going to put him in the middle of the 14s, like 413 over or so. Almost as impressive as the people who are in. Now, that's probably not going to be enough, Jeff. See, I was just getting ready to say, almost as impressive as the people who are in the top 12 is the list of people down below who are not going to make the match play finals today.
We just had a comment come through as something that I've been talking about for years is longer formats usually tend to benefit the better bowlers. The talent, cream always rises to the top. All those comments usually ring true. That's why usually with the U.S. Open, the Masters, a lot of those events where it's a long grind out, usually in the majors, you always see the better players come out on top. Whereas when you have some of the quicker sprint events that have been kind of in vogue in recent years, you see a wider variety of players that make the shows. Not that they're not talented in their own right and deserve to be there, but when you have to bowl 45 to 50-some games to make it to the step-ladder finals, generally the top players come out on top.
So Kyle Troop's got a maximum of 213. If he cleans up those 245, that would put him at 451. That means A.J. Rice from 11th place is going to go around Kyle by 3 pins.
I am confirmed that Dole did shoot 191 the last game.
191, thank you.
So that puts him at plus 397.
It doesn't look
Wait a second. Mike Dole was at 406 over.
-9.
So 397. Okay, 397.
It's just simple math, dude.
I had the wrong Common Core out on that one. Angie Ramirez and Houston White. Updates on those, Ashley?
Ramirez is still striking. Let me go check on White.
Thank you. Well, if Angie's still striking, that's good for her because that's going to put her in the 450s. Possibly ahead of A.J. Rice as well.
Nidifer with a nice 300.
Very nice. That would make 300 number 8 for the tournament and give him 528. Depending on what's going on up at the top, he could have just put himself way up in the standings.
So basically, Nidifer went double, triple, then hambone, then he struck out in the 10th.
Yep.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean anything to anybody right now except for me and you.
Okay.
I mean, because we know what was going on last night. But haven't gotten it. Go Bama is asking for a Tommy Barish update. We really don't have that right now. We're trying to go around. The problem we have over there is Ashley can go around and see what's going on with the scores. But
yes, Angie Ramirez just sends Messenger to take her 7-pin out, so she is still striking through the 9th.
Through the 9th.
Okay.
We are waiting for the end of Game 4 now. Our action in front of us on 11 and 12 right now is done. So, and our producer is in a production meeting over here right now. So we're kind of getting input from Ashley on what's happening on the other pairs of lanes. Angie Ramirez still striking with a possible 258 out, which would give her 460.
Tommy Barish is, I believe he had 218 his last.
Okay. If that's the truth, he would be at 415.
Correct, that's what I saw, 415.
Okay. Marshall Kent was at 413, so Tommy stays ahead of him, but that's probably he's going to go ahead of Mike Dole, but the question is Angie Ramirez and Houston White. It looks like Angie might grab the last spot in the top 12 right now. Big Wheel wants to know what time the match play starts. It'll be fairly soon after this round of 32.
Houston White opens in the 9th. He can punch for 199.
Wow. So that takes Houston White out of contention here. That's unfortunate for him. He was at 400 over. He was only 4 pins out of the 12th position at the top. There is not a need to re-oil before match play because we're going to switch sides, Jeff C. We're going to bring them from the south side over to the north side for the round of 12. Anthony Pepe, I don't think he's going to make it in.
Should I tell Hester to be patient and have another popsicle while we get everything tabulated?
McNeely 255 his last game.
Very nice, Ken McNeely. We've been asked a number of times for an update. So 255 gives him 474. Keeps him 20 pins ahead of AJ Rice, who's making a move up into the standings. McNeely's 474 puts him also ahead of Kyle Troop, who was in 6th place. We're waiting on a finish for Angie Ramirez. Angie's got 258 out if she strikes all 3 times in the 10th, and that would give her 460 and put her in between Ken McNeely there and A.J. Rice in the standings.
Angie hangs a 7-pin. Her first ball in the 10th frame. She can punch for 37.
237 would give her 439. Still probably enough, it looks like, to move up into the standings. Unless there was disaster for Matt McNeil or Kurt Pilon. Houston White is probably out the way it looks.
Hey, while we have a little lull in the action, we have raised almost $800 this weekend for the Bowl Strong Cancer Research
That's
Charity
awesome, dude.
through the 50-50s that we did during the qualifying rounds and T-shirt sales, almost $800. So just on a weekend where we came down to help out the IBA Open crew and do this, we were able to raise a little over $800 for charity. So thanks to everybody that helped make that happen. We greatly appreciate it.
Kurt Pilon had 195 game 4.
Thank you. So that gives him 419.
What are my thoughts on the difference in performance with 14 and 15-pound balls? Well, that's actually a really good question because we've been kind of not really researching it a lot more lately, but taking this into consideration for more people. With the dynamics of 14-pound bowling balls now, some of the numbers are actually more aggressive in 14s than they are in 15s. So it's becoming a better option for more people. Normally, I would say unless you needed to...
Ramirez does strike for 237.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ashley. Unless you needed it for a health reason or something like that, I normally wouldn't recommend going from 15 to 14. But we're actually starting to see certain people with certain types of games go to 14-pound equipment, and it's actually helping them, depending on how their ball goes through the pins. Some people don't want their ball to deflect, so they go up to 16. We're seeing more guys on tour go back to 16 pounds to create a different motion through the pins, but you see some guys go the other direction, going down to 14. So
I'm not
that's
sure
a good
where
question.
Shuttler is, but he's throwing his last ball in the 10th. He leaves at 8 count, so that should be 265.
Wow, that's big. 437 for him. Keeps him 2 pins behind Angie Ramirez, and that's real big. But it puts him ahead of Kurt Pilon, who was in 9th, and Gary was in 16th. So there is a little jumbling going on here. He will go also ahead of Houston White. Mike Dole's going to fall out, it looks like.
That's confirmations 266 for Shuttler.
266. So that's 438 for him. Matt McNeil. Any results on Matt McNeil? Schluchter, thanks. N-Bond, appreciate that. Because we'll be saying his name a few more times today. Chris Hester, I've been throwing 14 pounds for 3 years now, just to let you know. And
Matt,
my speed is enough that that my ball still goes through the pins fine for me. I mean, considering what it is. But like Jeff said, the reason for it was, again, it was difficult enough for me to keep my hand behind the ball as it was, and this allows me to have direction and velocity that I wouldn't have with a 15 or a 16-pound ball. Sorry, Ashley.
plus 426 for Matt McNeil.
Plus 426. Okay. So Gary Schluchter is going to move up into the top 12, it looks like. Angie Ramirez is going to move up into the top 12. It looks like Kurt Pilon's going to fall out of the top 12.
Turn of orders. The top 12 will begin at 12:10. 10 after 12 on the other side of the building.
Mike is making an announcement now that they will be starting the top 12 at 12:10, which is a totally random time.
It's 45 minutes from now.
Okay.
That's why he's doing what he's doing right now. So
But it's still random, dude.
it is random.
No matter what, it's always random. But we will be starting back with the top 12 match play finals at 12:10. And also remember to stay tuned and be with us tonight at 7 o'clock for the stepladder finals of the 2014 IB Open, brought to you by Budweiser, Storm, High Roller, and Kegel.
I have some unofficial finals. Tommy Barish is plus 415.
That's what I've got.
AJ Rice plus 454.
Got that.
Adam Barta plus 390.
Thank you.
Marshall Kent plus 360.
Okay.
Chris Coella plus 485.
Thank you.
Kevin Williams plus 497.
Okay.
Kurt Pilon plus 419.
Got that one. And he's going to drop out of the top 12, by the way.
Mike Dole plus 397.
Got that. He's also dropping out of the top 12.
Vernon Peterson plus 319. Matt Pearson plus 208.
Thank you.
J.R. Raymond plus 385. Jason Sturmer plus 288. Mike Marcus plus 538. Pepe plus 414. Kyle Troop plus 451.
Got that one. Looking for Brian Valenta.
You can't miss him. See his jersey?
He is bright.
I didn't see it today.
Plus
Now
528
wait.
for Nidifer.
That's probably the first time anybody's ever said Brian Valenta was bright.
Plus 528 for Nidifer, you said, Angie?
I mean, his light bulb doesn't go on most of the days.
God love him.
So unofficially, and I'm going to kind of cover what I've got here in front of me, I'm not expecting that Bill O'Neill and Brian Valenta are going to fall out of the top 12 because they were number 1 and number 4 going into this game, but it looks like in no specific order, Bill O'Neill, Mike Marcus, Kevin Williams, Brian Valenta, Chris Colella, Kyle Troop, Craig Nidifer, Matt McNeil, Ken McNeely, A.J. Rice, Angie Ramirez, and Gary Schluchter is going to be our top 12. I believe Gary is going to take the last spot at plus 437. That means that without full information from some of these other ones,
Here we go. Bill O'Neill plus 566. Brian Valenta plus 484.
thank you.
Matt McNeil plus 426. And Ken McNeely plus 474.
That's what I've got there too. So looks to me like my top 12 is correct. They're not in the right order. Obviously, we'll get that in a few minutes. Some notables who missed the top 4, like I said, Kurt Pilon, 195 the last game to go to 419. He falls out of the top 12. Mike Dole went to 397, so with a 191 the last game to fall out of the top 12. Angie Ramirez moves up from 13th. Gary Schluchter moves up from 16th. Houston White, I believe, is going to stay around 400, so he'll miss by 37. Tommy Barish is going to miss by like 22. Marshall Kent will miss by 40. Anthony Pepe did have that nice game, the last game, go to 414, but that means he's going to miss by 23 pins. And all this is unofficial because we don't have the score sheet in front of us, and Mike hasn't made an official announcement yet, but I just wanted to let you know that. Ben Johnson's over here looking at So, according to Shocker Mom, thank you very much. The Game 4 is updated under the Event Information tab, so you can kind of see what I was looking at and figuring out on my own.
I do have your official standings.
Okay.
12th is Matt McNeil with plus 426. 11th is Gary Shuckler plus 434. Angie Ramirez is in 10th with plus 439. Kyle Troop sits in 9th with plus 451. A.J. Rice is sitting in 8th with plus 454. Ken McNeely is in 7th with plus 474. Brian Valenta is in 6th with plus 484. Chris Coella is in 5th with plus 485. Kevin Williams is in 4th with plus 497. Craig Nidifer is in 3rd with plus 528. Michael Marcus is in 2nd, with plus 538, and Bill O'Neill is your leader with plus 566.
Interesting with Bill O'Neill doing what he did toward the end when he stumbled in the first couple of games. Angie made it. Yep. So, as you heard a few minutes ago, the top 12 is going to come back for 12 games of round-robin match play. As Jeff said earlier, everybody just left me, so here I am sitting here all by myself in the booth. It's been awesome to bring you guys the coverage of this. We're probably going to go back to music here during this next little while. We're going to take about a 40-minute break now. The top 12 are told to be back ready to bowl at 10 after 12. That is approximately 40, maybe 37 minutes from now. I would imagine that will be the top, that'll probably be the top 12 starting practice at that point. And then we'll be back after that for coverage for the 12 games of match play leading up to our top 5. Looks like Chrissy's in the chat. Chrissy Kent is in the chat, and thanks, Chrissy, for joining us. Is this event the same weekend every year? I believe Mike does reserve this as the last weekend of April every year, and it's one year it conflicted with my trip to Nationals, so we kind of changed our dates around and stuff, but this should be on the last weekend of April next year as well, and thanks for asking. By the way, I congratulated Dougie last night. I bet you that was awesome being out there to watch the speeches for the USBC Hall of Fame inductions just a couple of nights ago, I would imagine. Are you still in? Were you in Reno for bowling as well? So I'm going to kind of turn the music back up, folks, and step away from the booth and take a break for just a little while. I'm here for the duration today. I'm actually helping this evening with part of the production of the finals that are going to happen at 7 o'clock tonight. If you don't have plans this evening, plan on joining us. It is 7 o'clock. It is live. It'll last about 2 hours, and we will have the entire top 5 step ladder for you. We'll determine who those folks are going to be this afternoon. Based on what we see right here, there is a, let's see, between 12th, it's 426. It's 140 pin difference between 12th right now and first place. The games this afternoon are for 30 pins bonus, as well as for each victory, as well as whatever score they shoot. So the standings can change a lot, and everything is really bunched up. If you look at 5th place, for instance, 485, 6th is 484, 7th is 474. So only 11 pins difference between 5th and 7th, and then add in the next 2 people in the 450s. Only basically one game worth of bonus will change the standings all around for all those. So be sure and come back and join us for the top 12, and plan on spending your evening here. One final question here before I leave: how does the top 12 round robin match play work? Basically, no, not if you lose a game. It's not a single elimination. Round robin means that you will bowl a game against every other player. It will be 12 full games this afternoon. 30 pins for the bonus if you win, and that gets added into the standings. And then the 12th game of it is actually a position round at the time, which is important, especially for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, depending on how far they are out of the top 5. So that's how that will work. So we're gonna. Jeff just now came back to join me and put his headset on, and I was getting ready to close it out and put some music up, because we've got about a 30-minute break here. So. And your turn down.
Oh,
so
yep, sounds good. We'll probably grab something to eat real quick,
Yep.
and we'll be back joining you a little after noon. Thanks, guys.